Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Parul Malhotra, Associate Professor, Jagannath University, Jaipur, Rajasthan. In today's video, we will understand the concept of media and culture. And along with media and culture, there are other also related topics that I would be covering in this video. So to begin with, the topics that we would be covering are mass communication and culture, or media and culture. What is the impact media has on our culture? Then mass media and globalization, like what is globalization and what impact globalization has cast on mass media. Then some other smaller terms, but they are relevant in the media industry: media literacy, media convergence, and media consolidation. So the first topic that we'll be studying is mass media and culture. To begin with, we need to understand what is culture. Culture is a way of life: the food you eat, the clothes you wear, the language you speak in, and the god you worship. All are aspects of culture. In a very simple terms, we can say that culture is the embodiment of the way in which we think and do the things. It is also the things that we have inherited as members of society. Art, music, literature, architecture, sculpture, philosophy, religion, and science can be seen as aspects of culture. However, culture also includes the customs, traditions, festivals, way of living, and one's outlook on various issues of life. I hope you understand now what is culture. It is simply our way of living. It is simply the way we live, the way we eat, the way we are dressed up, the religion we practice, the traditions that we follow. This is all termed as culture. Thus, culture refers to human-made environment, which includes all the material and non-material products of group life that are transmitted from one generation to the next generation. Now let us come to the next topic, that is what is mass culture. The mass culture refers to a whole range of popular activities which has been identified with the typical content of mass media that provide entertainment and information. Mass culture is the set of ideas and values that develop from a common exposure to the same media, news sources, music, and art. It primarily refers to the content of radio, TV, cinema, and press. It is, in a nutshell, the mass culture is a culture which has been propagated by the media. The culture is what we follow, what we practice, what we have learned over a period of time, and which has been transmitted from one generation to another generation. Whereas the mass culture is all the activities which are being identified with the mass media, and it's a set of values and ideas that one's receive from the media. But this keeps on changing as per the media environment and the latest trends, right? Mass culture is broadcasted or otherwise distributed to individuals instead of arising from their day to day interaction with each other. So, it is actually our interaction with the media that gives birth to the mass culture. Like, it's not our day to day interaction with each other, but the interaction with the media develops the mass culture. This mass culture generally lacks the unique content of local communities and regional cultures. Frequently, it promotes the role of individuals as consumers. With the rise of publishing and broadcasting in 19th and 20th centuries, the scope of mass culture expanded dramatically. It replaced folklore, which was the cultural mainstream of traditional local societies. The culture propagated by the mass media is not necessarily the popular culture of the masses. I hope you are clear with the concept of mass culture, which is the culture that is propagated by media, which comes with our interaction with the media messages. Right now, next come to the popular culture. The culture propagated by the mass media is not necessarily the popular culture of the masses. It is still by and large that prevails in our villages, where our culture is barely touched by the mass media. Historically, until the 19th century, the term popular was quite a negative thing, which overtones of vulgarity and triviality. It was not something nice or respectable. In the modern world, the term popular means widespread, liked, or at least encountered by many people. Popular culture Often, short pop culture is the entirety of ideas, perspectives, attitudes, images, and other phenomena that are within the mainstream of a given culture, especially Western culture of the early to mid 20th century and the emerging global mainstream of the late 20th and the earlier 21st century. I hope you understand now the difference between culture, mass culture, and the popular culture. Culture is our way of living, way of dressing, the way we eat, which is being carried forward from one generation to another and which is being practiced. Then the mass culture is the culture which is being propagated by the media, maybe a particular dress, a particular hairstyle, a particular jewelry, or a particular, you can say, a dialogue that becomes a mass culture, like dresses worn by Jay and Viru in Sholay, or the dialogues of Gabbar, they became very popular. The friend's hat worn by Salman Khan, or the bracelet worn by him, or the hairstyle of Sanjay Dutt, and the haircut of Amitabh Bachchan, Vinod Khanna, the bell bottoms that they made popular, that is all media culture, mass culture. Whereas the popular culture is, which is like the culture which is differing from state to state, from village to village. This is what, like if we are celebrating Diwali, that's a culture. It's being the way that we have been doing it so long. We are celebrating the festivals, we are worshipping the god, like we are celebrating Ganesh Chaturthi or Ram Leelas are being held. So this is all what our culture is. We have a culture of making rangolis, or lightening up diyas and putting the beautiful decoration item at all kinds of festivals. But the popular culture is, we can say, the language that is being used from different state to state and keeps on changing, the dresses that are being used, the food style that are being used. Like these days, the Chinese and the Tibetan food has become very popular. Or in Delhi, I would rather say there are a lot of chaat corners in Delhi. A lot of hawkers are there selling different kind of Indian delicacies or North Indian charts, which are popular only in Delhi. But if you move out of Delhi, you will not find such culture. You'll find a different culture. So that is what a popular culture is, which is prevalent in one particular place, and it keeps on changing. So you can keep on mind, this question can come in exams or in your one of the assignments, the difference between culture, mass culture, and the popular culture. So now let us understand the impact of media on our culture. The today culture of media has changed significantly, which has radical impact on youth of India. Being such a huge and diverse country, media culture influences perceptions and actions of people today. Therefore, positive and objective media must be consumed rather than subjective media, which not only throws judgment over solutions. Indian media has grown manifold since last few years, having results in every field of life, from education, lifestyle, fashion, health, and more. Media cultures brings new way of life in lives of people due to the rapid information available and spread through media. There are various sources of print, electronic, and new media which have perpetuated in Indian context and heavily affected the roots of it in many ways. Kids must be reasonably exposed to media, as what is required is available, but the undesired also. That is key, what is required is available. We have a lot of media content, but there are certain media content which is undesirable for kids also. So they must be reasonably exposed to the media content. Mind and acceptance of every kid varies, which results in immediate effect and action. Rape, sexual assault, high education videos, rhymes, all are imparted through media. Now this becomes responsibilities of parents to ensure types of media subjects consumed by kids as per their level of understanding and age. Overexposure to media has a grave impact on early age groups due to the urge of experimentation, which can be fruitful and fatal, complex enough to map when adverse. Media is a strong entity which presides over many daily decisions on the senses of the world. Media also exposes human beings to completely new perspective. Perhaps the effect on media and its culture has both positive and negative effects. Now let us look at the positive effects of media on our culture and also the negative effects of media on our culture. Newspapers, magazines, journals on specialized beats inform, educate, and build strong opinions among masses on subjects of national and global interest. The feedback polls conducted on key issues exhort people to respond, which reflects the culture prevalent in society. If positive stories and features are published, then people get inspired and more, try to become one. That is, media informs us, educates us, and builds a very strong opinion among the people on variety of subjects. And a lot of feedback polls are also being conducted, which reflect the culture prevalent in the society. If such positive stories and features are published, then obviously they will cast a good impact on the audience, and people might get inspired by them, and they try to become one of those things that are being projected through media. The electronic media shows constructive information on many news channels, educational shows, travel and food shows in its own way. Educational shows are popular among children as it boosts the confidence and self-esteem, increase the interest level for particular subject, and encourages children for asking relevant questions. Choice of TV shows is important to make significant improvements in culture, and as on one hand we have soap operas, while on other discussion we have chat shows on the national issues. This shows that there are many different kind of programs on education, travel, food, etc., and they have become quite popular among children. And not only children, the quiz shows like Kaun Banega Crorepati have generated the interest level of large number of people. So choices of such kind of shows, they make significant improvement in the culture, and many of the programs or the program shows of KBC have become popular because they have shown in sharing the inspiring story of the underprivileged sections of the society. They have been also shown celebrating the Indian cultures on their set. So such kind of programs always motivate people and always create a positive impact on the audience. Social or new media is another form which involves direct participation of people and gives them sense of democracy unlike other mediums. The constant updates about one's life through websites, blogs, Facebook, Twitter connects the scattered blood ties, make them feel close. Social media impact culture either ways. It can be positive for the matured and create anxiety and curiosity among the adolescents due to the bombardment of the information. Though social media, this is an ongoing debate always, that whether social media is a boon or a bane. We can look at both the sides. Social media has proved effective in getting the information and in a very short span of time, and it is a very good way of promoting the things. But yes, it happens only if you are handling it in a matured manner, in an understanding manner. But if mishandled, then social media can have a very detrimental effects on the mindsets of people, especially children and the younger adults. Now let us look at the negative effects of media on our culture. Violence is an important factor which creates adverse impact on young audiences. This may also lead them to imitate such extreme acts on elders, fellow mates, and so on. Advertising makes people notional about materialistic things like cosmetic, food, clothes, and more as an entity for happiness. It can make people obsessed to try such products and then be dependent on them. Obesity has increased among people due to constant connection with devices like laptops, TVs, tablets, which prevents physical movements. This can make the person inactive, introvert, and gain weight easily. So, controlled eating while watching television making people obese, and this has been studied for so long in many of the countries that children, younger adults, they have become couch potatoes. That is being term used, given to the people those who are constantly watching television and they are trying to eat whatever is being given to them. Couch is a bed, potato is a is an obese person. So, and also the programs which are quite violent and vulgar are also creating a detrimental impact on the younger audience. And then many products like alcohol are being also promoted, though now its promotion has been banned on the television. But prior to that, it was also actually promoting drinking. And then there are many products like cosmetic, food, clothes, which actually leads to unmindfulness. We say mindless buying, that it makes us materialistic. We want to buy most of the things, whatever is being shown on television. So it is one of the negative effects. Next is media like television and cable television can sometimes have bad effects in our society. The audience of these media are watching everything being telecasted in hope of entertaining themselves, be it violence, vulgarity of culture, ideas and opinions, etc. Besides this, advertising also leaves images and impact on young minds. They give children a materialistic world which desires unaffordable things. Also, too much of television is creating health problems of obesity and diversion from studies, sleep, and eating proper diet. So, this is what, like, if you are mindful, watching of television programs may lead to many problems in your health. Then you may become fat and you may be deprived of sleep, and then poor eating habits, and also there is a diversion from studies. And also children are lured to buy things that are being shown on television. They are being forcing their parents, they become cranky or sometimes violent to so that they can get these things. So yes, television has, or especially the media has, such kind of negative effects on children and younger adults especially. Then the next negative effect is that mass communication does influence and even reflect social values and practices. But this influence is always in combination with a whole lot of other socio-cultural and economic and political factors. By themselves, the media have little power to influence, change and develop. For examples, Hindi film may start fashion for men and women in the areas of clothes, hairstyles, manner of speech, manner of greeting, or way we socialize. We may even go to the extreme of acting out what we see or hear in the mass media, say a violent gesture or protest. But it takes much more than a film or TV to change our social and the cultural value. Here, I would like to mention that there are ample of example in the news that we see that many people are inspired by the acts of violence when they see it on the television, and they try to imitate in the real life. But yes, that is a dramatization of the event, and it is only for the information and the entertainment. They fail to realize this, and they try to imitate the same act that has been um, that they have either read somewhere or seen somewhere. Recently, in the news, there was a murder case wherein a couple was involved, and then maybe they had an argument, and the girl was brutally killed by his you can say the boyfriend. And later on, when he was arrested and he confessed his crime, then he agreed. He just was aware of the fact that he read this somewhere in the story, and he got this idea of killing or creating a crime in that particular manner only after reading the story. That means he was inspired by that book. So the thing is, this is not the first incidents that has happened. In past, there have been many incidences which actually indicate that yes, people are inspired by the violence in the movie or in the books, and they try to imitate such things. So as far as you are adopting clothes, hairstyle, or manner of speech, it is good. But if you are going out to the extreme and copying certain kind of violent gestures, then it is not actually good for the society. So there should be a mindful use of media, and audience should be able to judge what is right and what is not. If I put media or if I blame media for everything, then it is also not right. We should judicially use the things which we have been given to. We should wisely use, and uh, we should be intelligent enough or knowledgeable enough to understand what is real and what is real, what is right and what is wrong. So let us move to the next topic, that says mass media and globalization. So in this topic, we will understand what is globalization and what impact it has created on mass media. Globalization is a term for a complex series of economic, social, technological, cultural, and political changes seen as increasing interdependence, integration, and interaction between people and companies in different locations. The term globalization is used to refer to the collective changes throughout the world as a process or else as the cause of turbulent change. It assumes that phenomena of the industries are worldwide, that users of information technologies make up the majority of the world's population with no obstacles to access anywhere. In a nutshell, simply I would say the exchange of an economic exchange, social, technological, cultural and political exchange that we have seen over a period of time between different countries is known as globalization, and this actually became a buzzword when it was introduced in India in 1990s. Narasimha Rao government introduced the concept of LPG, that was liberalization, privatization and the globalization, and this particular entry or this particular opening the gate of the foreign investors to India led to the entry of many foreign and international brands to set up their offices and companies in country, which led to the tremendous financial changes, economic changes, social and technological as well as cultural changes in the entire country. There is a documentary on YouTube which talks about India in 1990s. The credit goes to NetGeo for that documentary. They have conceptualized, produced and directed that documentary, and one of the best documentaries I have ever seen on the impact of globalization what India had. That is, you must go and watch that documentaries. Dream, India's Dream in 1990. That's a wonderful documentary on globalization, the impact of globalization on media. Okay, so what are the main features of globalization? The growing level of connectedness between individuals, societies, and nation states at a global level. The reduction in the distance between individuals, societies, and nation states in terms of both time and space facilitated by technological developments such as the internet and other media. These are usually referred to as ICT, that is information communication technologies. The development of ICT has not only resulted in major changes in the working of the mass media, but also allows the rapid transfer of information, knowledge, and capital. Increased awareness of global phenomena in people's local lives. It offers the potential to human beings to become more critical of their immediate environment by allowing them to compare their experiences with those living in other societies or under different political arrangements. The trend of globalization has led many news organizations to go global. Globalization is part of the daily life of youth, affecting their work, leisure, entertainment, language, food, and so forth. In recent decades, technological advancements in cable, satellite, digital media, and the internet have strengthened the role of the media, particularly the global media, in the globalization process. Satellite television and the internet bring live news and information to young people's doorstep around the globe. I would say that the introduction of the LPG, that is allowing the private TV channels and the international TV channels to flourish in India, changed the entire media landscape in the decade of 1990s. And there were a lot of media channels coming up and setting up their offices in the country, and the country was witnessing an amalgamation of national and the international stories. What we were getting, the national stories at the world class standards, and not only the information, as their offices were set up in our own country, they hired the personnel from our country only, thus giving the employment and raising the standard of living of the people. Once these foreign news channels were established in the country, the Indian channels also followed the same path. And pioneering this path was Z, which was followed by Sony. Star was the first international channel that was set up in the country, that was as Star TV. Later on, with the private TV channels gained a lot of popularity, so Star TV was termed as the Indian version of Star, whereas the Star World became the Indian English channel of the Star network. And from then the media industry never looked back. From TV channels, private TV channels, to 24 by 7 TV entertainment channels, then there was a boom in the media, boom in the music industry. As the world was going global, the India, our country, was growing global, so the music industry also flourished. We saw birth of many popular music stars like Baba Sehgal, Alisha Chenoy, and then we have world class VJs like Malaika Arora Khan, and we had Rahul Khanna as one of the popular VJs of that time. By VJ, I mean video jockeys. And this also gave birth to the advertising industry, though advertising was flourishing that time. But with the advent of TV channels and with the advent of with the entry of the foreign brands in the country, foreign brands were looking for the platform where they could sell the product, and these private TV channels gave them that particular platform. And not only the advertisements or the media industry, as these countries, as these companies were set up in the India because of globalization, they employed Indian people, and the salary that they were getting was much higher than the salary that was being given to the common man. So there was a sudden increase in the salary, sudden hike in the standard of living of the people, though it entirely changed that particular decade when this globalization was introduced in our country. There's lot many things on globalization you can go and study, because this is a very small topic I've touched here as it is mentioned in your syllabus, so that's a very small thing. But there's a lot of things on LPG globalization you can study. There are few places in the world today where a young person cannot gain access to a continuous flow of information, sound, and pictures from other countries and culture. The global communication system of television, music, advertising industry helped young people reach out to the world and develop multiple understanding about things and issues. I would like to add on one thing here. The end of the 20th century and the beginning of the 21st century saw the entry of the internet, the World Wide Web, and then PCs, laptops, and then then we had cell phones, and then the smartphone, and it never looked back. And now most of us, we have access to the smartphones. We are using internet on our smartphones, and everything is entire global. Media have a central place in the process of globalization for three reasons. First, media corporations have been among those corporations that have been increasingly globalizing their operations. Secondly, media organizations help to develop the global communication infrastructure that facilitates global information flows and cross-border commercial activities. Lastly, global media are the principal means through which we make sense of events in distant places and understanding the events across borders. Main features of media globalization: the emergence of and continued dominance of global media industry by small number of transnational media conglomerates, the increasingly deregulated environment in which these media organizations operate. The globalization of media content has resulted in greater amount of homogenization and standardization in certain media products produced and distributed by the global media industries. The uneven flow of information and communication products within the global system, and the different levels of access that global citizens have to the global networks of communication. Lastly, but not the least, media globalization is inextricably linked with the promotion of ideology of consumerism and is therefore bound up with the capitalist project. I hope you are clear with the concept of globalization and what are the impact of globalization on the media industry in India. Now let us look at some few related terms. Media literacy. Media literacy is a repertoire of competencies that enable people to analyze, evaluate, and create messages in a wide variety of media modes, genres, and formats. Media literacy represents a necessary, inevitable, and realistic response to the complex, ever changing electronic environment and communication that surround us. Media literate should be able to skillfully create and produce media messages, both to show understanding of the specific qualities of each medium as well as to create independent media and participate as active citizens. Media literacy can be seen as contributing to an expanded conceptualization of literacy, treating mass media, popular culture, and digital media as new types of texts that require analysis and evaluation. By transforming the process of media consumption into an active and critical process, people gain greater awareness of the potential for misrepresentation and manipulation, especially through commercials and public relations techniques, and to understand the role of mass media and participatory media in constructing views of reality. Being able to understand the media enables people to analyze, evaluate, and create messages in a wide variety of mediums, genres, and forms. A person who is a media literate is informed. Today's information and entertainment technologies communicate to us through a powerful combination of words, images, and sounds. As such, we need to develop a wider set of literacy skills, helping us to both comprehend the messages we receive and effectively utilize these tools to design and distribute our own messages. Being literate in a media age requires critical thinking skills that empower us as we make decisions, whether in the classroom, the living room, the workplace, the boardroom, or the voting booth. Now let us come to the media convergence. The term media convergence may not be as familiar as it should be. In today's information age, we are all surrounded by examples of converged media. Collaborations between consumer online services and broadcast media like MSNBC have brought the internet to television and vice versa. However, the implications of this trend go far beyond just repurposing the same material for different mediums. Convergence will eventually lead to the fusion of all forms of media, resulting in the creation of an entirely new medium. Today, it is already happening between TV, radio, print, and the internet. The state of media convergence is always evolving, but its best application likely be with computers utilizing the endless capabilities of the internet. I can give you the best examples of conversion is like when all the television programs are now available on YouTube, they have all portals on internet. Even the physical newspaper that we used to read is also available in the e-form, the electronic form. We had radio, then came FM, and now we have a lot of podcasts, and every radio channels have their websites where they have put in all their programs in the form of the podcast. You can hear or in the form of the audios. Even these lectures, which are being done face to face or through board or through PowerPoint presentations, you are able to sit at home and watch them, read them, listen them at your own convenience. This is nothing but all the convergence. Convergence is mixture of things, mixture of various different media that we combine one media with the another. So this is all media convergence. The most obvious form of media convergence is the mega meld between companies like Microsoft and NBC mentioned above. That is that we had mentioned MSNBC. This collaboration and others like in CNNSI just scratched the surface of convergence potential. Even before the advent of MTV in 1981, which combined elements of radio and TV, companies were repurposing the same material for different mediums. A truer form of convergence is emerging at the local level. Television stations, radio stations, and print publications within a market are working together to create websites that incorporate the advantages of each medium. A single story on a web page can be augmented with video clips, audio clips, relevant graphics, and even links to related stories. Converged media sites can be a one-stop source for all aspects of a news story or events. Now let us come to the last topic, that is the media consolidation. Concentration of media ownership, also known as media consolidation, is a commonly used term among media critics, policymakers and others to characterize ownership structure of mass media industries. Media consolidation is known as the concentration of media ownership with only a few companies or individuals. Media consolidation refers to an ongoing process in which more and more media companies, example radio, TV, newspapers, and magazines, are falling into the hands of fewer and fewer owners. These owners can then increasingly frame and direct the national discourse or what passes for it these days in such a way as to control what a majority of voters believe. This gives them subtle but nonetheless enormous power to control the national mindset and government by determining what issues get airplay and how they are presented and which candidates win the elections. In a nutshell, media consolidation is when the different media, they are falling into the one hand or very fewer hands. Like I say, the Times Group is owning a newspaper, a very popular newspaper, magazine. Then they also have a radio channel called Radio Mirchi. Then they are evidently seen on news channels also. We have Times Now, we have Times Now Bharat as well. Similar goes for the Z Group also, that is the SL Media Group or the Z group, where we see Z has occupied prime importance or prime space on TV channels, TV news channel and cinema as well, and we have seen its prominence in the business channels also, and they have web portals also. And same goes for the HT Media Group, Live-In Media Group, and then the Banis also. They all fall under the category of the media consolidation, where they are not owning just one single media, but there are different media that they are owning. And but the biggest disadvantage of such system is that the news that we will get will be a kind of a one short view that you will see on all channels, that will not get a lot of variety, you can say, and no objectivity, less objectivity. So let us study the process of media consolidation. Media for the consumers. What work for the consumer, work in the media. Like any other business, the purpose of the media is to earn profit, and the only way they can do is by providing the viewers with whatever they want. So something that is popular in media stays on, while others are just chucked out. Since people are responsible for what appears in the media, it is assumed that quality media wins. The next process, minimal government control. If the media is consolidated and it is people who make choices of what they want to see, the government control is minimal. The advantage of converging technologies. According to pro-consolidation arguments, due to converging technologies, the media houses are fueled by the desire to reach consumers in different and often innovative ways. This allows the users to get a phone, TV and internet from a single company, and they pay a single competitively priced bill instead of three different bills. Like this is, you buy an Airtel Extreme and you are getting a telephone, you are getting the net, you are getting Airtel for your system, for your TV also, and along with that you will be getting subscription for many OTT platforms also. But you need not to pay to those OTT platforms, or you need not to pay separately for your phone, separately for your TV bill. You just need to pay to the Airtel, and the rest of the subscriptions of the other OTT channels they would take care of. So the competition among the few media houses also ensures better and lower prices for the consumer. So these are the benefits that we um, get a lot of information, and then there's a minimal government control, and they are just we are able to get a lot of information, and it becomes cheaper for the people, and it becomes easier for us to work for use. But there are a lot of cons also. Lack of competing viewpoints and perspective. One of the biggest fears in the mind of those opposing media consolidation is that large media houses will silence the alternate viewpoints which are usually presented by the weaker or the smaller media channels, which can then lead to a decline in the democratic viewpoints. That is, the bigger media houses have their prominence and they are affecting the news. We'll have less alternative views. We'll just have one or two or three similar viewpoints, but not different viewpoints. It is staggering to imagine that only a handful of media houses cater to billions of viewers. They all are responsible for controlling all sorts of industry from creation and production to delivery. This has led to lack of meaningful content and alternate viewpoints in the media. So for example, I say that there is a news related to any kind of political situation that is happening in the country. So if you watch it on Times Now, Times Bharat, or be it on any Times Group's newspaper, whether it is Bharat Times or whether it is Times of India, or you watch it, you listen it on the Times Group, that is Radio Mirchi, or if you log into Times Group portal, that is on the websites indiatimes.com, you will get the information giving the same perspective. Maybe the presentation style is different, but the perspective that you will viewpoint that you will receive is similar. So the lack of diversity is a direct result of monopoly in the market, and little or no healthy market-based competition would be there. Then money versus public interest in media competition consolidation scenario, money is of the prime importance. The lack of adequate competition also means that media houses now run after money instead of serving public interests. Since every media house is now ensured of a large global audience, the focus shifts from providing quality services to getting more money. Innovative or risky ideas are now squelched in favor of tried and tested methods. Moreover, with less competition, the media houses charge more, and due to the lack of alternatives, the consumer has to pay. There's a lot of focus on the advertisers to get money, a lot of money. The commercially driven media is loyal to their sponsors and advertisers and not to the viewers. There is a minimal interest in journalism and public affairs and more concentration of lucrative genres that do quite well and earn them a lot of advertising revenues. You will get biased political views as these big media groups are always backed by the political parties. They are always supported by the political leaders. Large media houses are also blamed for their biased political views. Media companies are known to support candidates and political parties. When donations of big magnitudes are made or when there are a lot of advertising revenues from these political parties, it affects and influences the content in the media as well. I'll not name any particular media, but you all must have witnessed this scenario in recent years. Then you'll get less local news. With the monopoly of large media businesses, the local news takes a backseat. With cross-owned media, that is one particular organization owning different channels, there was a marked production of total news produced locally. Despite the proponents trying to push it, media consolidation has definitely had a negative impact on journalism and the ability of news to provide important democratic information to its citizens. The control of the larger media houses on the information we see, including the information in newspapers and other sources, is staggering. There is no representation or very less representation to the local news unless and until it is being highlighted by their competitor. So you must have understand what is media consolidation and what are its pros and cons. So in this video I have covered the topics of media and culture, then I have covered the topics of media and globalization, media literacy, media convergence and media consolidation. So I hope you are much clear with the concepts now. So thank you for watching this video.